Hi there. This is David Bennett Cohen, and I'd like to thank the Long Island Blues Society for having me do this little talk and demonstration. And we're going to talk about blues for about the next hour or so. I'm going to play a little bit, and I'm going to talk a little bit, and we'll see what comes up. So here's a tune called Afterglow. So, blues is a couple of things. It's a form and it's a style. The form is usually a 12-bar or 8-bar blues, and the style, well, can be anything. You can throw blues licks into folk songs or into standards. So we're going to basically be dealing with the 8-bar and 12-bar blues. And what I just played was a 12-bar blues, but it didn't follow the standard 1-4-5 changes, which we're going to go back to. So the first time I heard the blues, I was playing piano when I started taking lessons when I was 7 years old. And I took lessons for a few years. Somewhere in the middle of that, I have to add that I hated it. I was forced to take lessons, and I took them. But then I was about 9 or 10. I heard Boogie Woogie Piano on TV. My parents had a TV. It was early, but we had one. And I saw. I don't remember who it was, but I do remember that he was so short that his feet wouldn't touch the pedals, and he was so fat, so he had his head sideways. But he played the nastiest boogie-woogie, and it really hit me right here. So after that, that's what I wanted to learn, but there was no one teaching that kind of piano back then. So I went and I started playing the guitar. When I was about 13, I started playing the guitar, and it was like a love affair. It was exactly everything that the piano wasn't to me. We'd get home from school about 3:30. I'd play my guitar for 6 hours. I'd do 15 minutes of homework, and that was 3.5 years, 3 years of high school. So I really knew that I wanted to be a musician. But I didn't really play much piano after I found the guitar. When I went to California and joined Country Joe and the Fish, they wanted an organ player, and Barry Melton knew I played a little piano because I could play some boogie-woogie. So he knew I could do that. So when Country Joe decided to go electric, they wanted an organ sound because Highway 61 had just come out. That was a Dylan song, Dylan record. And Al Cooper played some gorgeous organ on it. And so Barry said, well, David could do it. I really wasn't much of a piano player or organ player. I never played organ. So I decided, I wanted the gig. So they bought me this little single keyboard organ. I said, well, I can deal with that. Because the organs that I had seen were like these theater organs, church organs. They're really intimidating. And given my lack of love of piano and keyboards, that sort of took care of that. But I wanted the gig, and so I learned how to play the organ. You know, it was just a single keyboard, and I figured I could use one hand. I didn't know what to do, so I decided I was going to start stealing my own guitar licks, which is what I did. And I got these reviews, these interesting. They said, "What a unique style." Of course, I didn't know what I was doing. We were all making it up as we went along. So eventually, I did learn how to get back into the keyboard, and now it's my main instrument, piano. So I'll do another song. This is an original song, a song called Hot Chocolate. Just, you know what? I need a drink of water. Excuse me. It says Knob Creek, but it's really just water. Okay, here's Hot Chocolate. Toast. You got marshmallows, whipped cream, and shaved chocolate. Oh, that's the most. So when you go to the store, forget the coffee and tea. They have too much caffeine. It's good for the young and it's good for the old and everybody in between. Hot chocolate, hot chocolate, hot chocolate. pumpkin, cookies and donuts and toast. You got marshmallows, whipped cream, and shaved chocolate. Oh, that's the most. So when you go to the store, forget the coffee and tea. They have too much caffeine. It's good for the young, and it's good for the old, and everybody in between. Hot chocolate, hot chocolate, hot chocolate, hot chocolate, hot chocolate, hot chocolate, hot chocolate. That's right. That's right. Okay, now that was the blues, but it wasn't the 12-bar blues. It was kind of a combination of verses had 8 bars, and actually the verses had 12 bars, and it was a bridge. But also, I was throwing in some other chords besides 1, 4, 5. I remember one time I was talking to this jazz musician, and back in the 70s, 80s, 90s, blues was kind of looked down upon by like serious musicians, like jazz musicians or classical musicians, because it was so simple, you know. I had a bass player once say to me, "I don't play no 1, 4, 5." I asked him for a gig. Actually, I offered him a gig. I don't play no 1, 4, 5. Can't imagine people turning down gigs these days, but so yeah, the simplicity of the blues is what its essence is. I think the blues is simple because that's what it is. It's, you know, but the depth that you can get through that simplicity is beyond. I don't think anybody's plumbed those depths yet. So it's the kind of a thing where you have a simple chord progression. So, for example, G. Let's do a slow blues. Let's do slow blues in G. So we're going to go like this. So that's my 1 chord. That's first measure. Then second chord. Second measure is a 4 chord. It's called the quick 4. Then we're going to go back to the 1 chord for 2 measures. Now I'm in C. I'm in the 4 chord for 2 measures. Then back to my 1 chord. There's my 5 chord, 1 measure. 4 chord. Turnaround, last 2 measures. It's called a turnaround because it turns the music around. It's unresolved. If I wanted to end the song, and I would go. And on the G. Now this riff that I'm playing here, that's like from my, we'll do it from G. I'm taking my G chord. I'm playing just a 1, 4, 5 G. I'm adding the F on the bottom. All right, and sometimes I can play the 2 notes together, the F and the G with my thumb, but sometimes I just play the G. And then I'm playing the E on top of that. This makes it a 13th chord. And then I'm going to my, this is a G13th, I'm going to my G7, I'm going to my G7th augmented chord. And then my next chord is the 4 chord, is the C chord, but it's coming to a C9th. All right, let me show you. I learned this off my guitar. If I'm playing in G, and I want to go from the 1 chord to the 4 chord, the G to the C, I can go like this. This is what I'm talking about. I'm playing my G7th. Here's my G7th. Right? Now I'm going to play I'm going to play my G 13th chord. So I'm taking my fourth finger and putting it on the E on the second string. So this is called the 13th chord. Now my pinky is going to slide down one fret. And that is my G7th augmented fifth. So on the guitar it's very simple. My next chord is a C9th. So here, that's my 9th chord. That's my 9, right? So the D is the 9th note of the C scale, right? So that makes it a C9th. So when I'm going from the 1 to the 4 chord, I'm going... And also, you can, from the 5 to the 1 chord, from D, for example, to G, G to G, I can go my G7, and end it that way, or I could do it that way. So all those things I've thrown on the piano. Let me show you what I'm talking about. So here's my G chord, 1, 3, 5. Here's my G7th. Here's my 13th. Now it's very simple. Once I get this chord, once I know where that 6 is, because it's really all it is. It's a 6 on top. It's 6, and then you go on a flat 6, which is the augmented fifth. And then you're going to go to your next chord, which is going to be a C9th. The melody is this: E, E flat, D. And so you're going like this. Right? And there's my C9th chord. I'm playing E, G, B flat, and D. My D, the most treble note, is going to be your melody note. And keep that's a very important concept, because when you're moving chords around, and we'll get to that in a moment, when you're moving chords around and you're playing solos with your chords, it's very, very effective in addition to just playing single note solos. All right, so right, let's get back to the slow blues in G. This is a kind of an interlude. This is a D7th augmented fifth, right? So it's my 1, 3, 5, D. That's D, F sharp, and A. And then I'm playing the 7th with my thumb. And I'm sharping the 5, which is, so it goes to A sharp. There's my chord with D in the left hand. So there's no D in my right hand, even though this is a D chord. So the left hand covers it. And then you're going to go back to your G9th. Right? So it's back and forth. So from G to C. Right? These are my 2 measures of C. Now, what I'm doing here, and this is a nice little trick that you can work with. If I'm playing a chord, there's my G chord. Okay, then if I like to put the 7th in the middle of the chord. I say in the middle of the chord because you're playing with your left hand as well, right? So that 7th, that F, is going to be right in the middle of that chord. I like the way that sounds. It's got a nice, kind of a subtle sound to it. Now, I can use that as an anchor. I can actually use just the F and the B as an anchor, and use these other fingers to play solo. Watch. So I'm just playing those notes, and I'm just staying here. And then, of course, you have to move, but if you think in terms of positions on the piano, much the same way as you think about positions on the guitar. Guitar, when you're playing when you're playing something and you have to transpose, it's fairly simple to just move the chord patterns. But you know, on the piano, you really have to learn every key, and it's challenging. But at the same time, the piano, everything's very clear. There's only one way to play that note, right? On the guitar, I can play that note 4 or 5 times, 4 or 5 different ways on different strings. So when I play with, I work with like position. So I'm in this position now. Okay, and I like to do tenths in the left hand. Tenths are a little difficult for some people. I'm fortunate I have the reach. So, but you can do thirds. This is actually a 7 and a 3. Now, from this position, I can go up to here. I'm still in my 9th chord here, right? And from this position, I can go up here. And I'm back. So these are little tricks that you can you know, throw in, and I'll show you some others in a few minutes. Okay, one of the things that we work off when we're taking solos is particular scales. So if I'm playing a solo, for example, in C, I would play a major blues scale. So 1, 2, 3 flat 3, 4 flat 5, 5, 6 flat 7. So there's a lot of notes, but you have to know kind of how to combine them, how to put them together, and that's where listening comes in. Listen to as many people that play what you want to hear. Just listen to it. You know, you don't have to learn it. Just listen to it. Absorb it. I used to, well, when we were kids, we would take our records, right, and we put the needle on the spot that we wanted to learn, and we pick up the needle and play it again, and pick up the needle and play it again, and then we try to copy it on whatever instrument we were playing, and sometimes it was right, sometimes it wasn't. We play it again. That little spot on the record always had a bigger groove than the rest of it. But you know, now there's a lot of information on the internet, and it's all out there. And the thing about the piano, this is just my own opinion, but the thing about the piano is that it's hundreds of years old. It's hundreds of years old. Various form of keyboard is, and so you have to think that pretty much everything technically has been done. Right? I mean, you listen to somebody like Vladimir Horowitz or Arthur Rubinstein, and you know what they're playing is impossible. But you know, so what you have to try to do is try to create something that's your own. And I think that's one of the things that's been missing. One of my least favorite types of music is tribute bands. But you know, there are some great tribute bands out there. I just, you know, I think musicians should continue to grow. That's what I think. And if you're only playing old stuff that's not your own, somehow you have to make it your own. It's don't mean to pass judgment, but that's, you know, that's kind of something. All right, so let's switch gears and let's do some New Orleans piano. There was a period of time when I only listened to Professor Longhair That was it. I listened to Professor Longhair maybe 3 or 4 years. That was it. You know, once I discovered Professor Longhair, it was over for me. Again, I learned some of the tunes, but you know, mostly I tried to learn the essence of the music. So there are basically two kinds of rumbas in this kind of music. We'll stay in G because it's nice and easy. The first one is called I think it's called a half clave. It goes like this. Okay, now I'm going to show you something that I learned on the guitar. This was back in, I don't know, must have been late 50s. There was Pete Seeger put out a book called How to Play the 5-String Banjo. And there was a strum in it that he called the calypso strum. And I thought it was fabulous, and I learned it. So, play a G, and it goes like this. Okay, it's 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. So you're dividing the eighth notes in 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. And that's that rhythm, and it's so cool. And and the downstrokes, that's that clave rhythm. So what I did was I took it and I transferred it over to the piano. And the way I did it was this. I go left, right, right, left, right, right, left, right, like this. Of course, it doesn't sound like anything right now, but if I switch around and make it a little smoother, and instead of going, I go, so I'm going 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. Of course, you have to develop independence. But what I'm doing in my left hand is actually that half clave. And if you take it and put it into, if you do an arpeggio, that's that rumba, that New Orleans rumba. This is a really nice rhythm that you can do for all kinds of things. I like to use it in pretty much everything I use funky. Also, it's a country lick. Bluegrass, when you're doing that banjo roll, it's 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. I don't have a banjo, but I will show you. But it's that same thing. It's that 1, 2, 3, 1. It's like this. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and so it's eighth notes, but the way you're breaking them up is so cool. And you can. And my chord, what I'm playing here is I'm playing a G7 chord. And my first note, my right hand, when I'm going 1, my and is I'm playing the G and the F together. And then the third note I'm playing is the whole chord, the rest of the chord. B, D, G. so that's, you know, it's a really nice rhythm. If you play it really fast, like I said, you can do like country stuff. It's like a just, you know, you can do that. But you'll find that it really comes in handy in a lot of different places. Like I said, I like to use it everything funky, but you can also make it swing a little bit. So that's one kind of rumba rhythm. The second kind of a rumba rhythm is, I'm not sure what it's called, but it's so those two kinds of rhythms, they're really fun to play. And, you know, the nice thing about them is, you know, somebody, usually it doesn't happen, somebody calls two rumbas in a row, you have two different ones to use. Okay, now, there's also a kind of a tuba rhythm that I like, and that goes like this. My G chord, but I'm playing the D as the bottom note. So that's my note that anyway, so that's a really nice rhythm that you can do. And as a corollary to that, you can do this. This is like a fat domino thing. That's straight. Here's swing. So it's nice for accompanying. Here's a fat domino song. Here's Hello Josephine. Hello Josephine, how do you do? Do you remember me, darling, like I remember you? You used to laugh at me and holler boo-boo. You used to walk you home. You used to hold my hand. You used to carry my umbrella every time it would rain. You would cry so much, it was a crying shame. Hello, Josephine, how do you do? You remember me, darling, like I remember you. You used to laugh at me and holler hoo-hoo. So that's a lot of fun to play, that kind of rhythm where you get that tuba rhythm. And you do lines. Anyway, you go in. Just walking around, and it's important that you play the right notes. That's it, all right? That's I think that's pretty obvious. But the most important note is the note you're going to. So you can sort of stumble around until you get there, but when you get there, you should hit it. You should hit it as confidently as you can, like this. So you're going. Just going wherever it takes you. But of course, I think it's best to try to keep within the parameters of blues. And of course, if you're playing a song, then I think you have to play the song. Okay. Let's talk about minor blues for a minute. When people talk about blues, excuse me a second. It's thirsty work here. When people talk about the blues, people that only understand one aspect of the blues, they say, oh, it's too depressing, I don't like it, it's no good. But the thing of it is, it's not all depressing, first of all. It's very joyful music. I think that the blues is probably the most joyful music there is, because it comes from the worst suffering you can imagine. I can't imagine, that kind of life, and to be able to bring this kind of joyful music out. It was, to me it's amazing. In my Buddhist practice, we talk about turning poison into medicine. Well, I think that's what music does. Okay, so enough of that. So here's let's do a minor slow blues. Just a couple of verses, not a lot, but just to get the idea. Let's change keys. All right, let's do it in A minor. I'm keeping the keys simple, so that when I show you what's going on, you can sort of follow it. Of course, it's important to learn how to play in every key. And if you're playing blues, if you're playing in a band and there's a guitar player, you have to learn how to play in E, and you have to learn how to play in A, and you have to play real comfortably in it. So there's ways of getting around it. We'll get to that in a few minutes. But let's talk about slow blues for now. So again, the slow blues, the 12 bars are divided up. One is the first measure. The second measure usually goes to a 4 chord, and that's called the quick 4. And then it goes 1-1, and then 4. So in A minor, it's like A minor for 1 measure, D minor for 1 measure, A minor for 1 measure, A minor for 2 measures, D minor for 2 measures, A minor for 2 measures. Okay, E, D, A minor, and then you turn around. Okay, so here we go. I'll show you. Let's do a real simple left hand. We're just going to go like this. So 1, 3, 5, 7, or A, C, E, F, G. Second measure, D minor, A minor. D minor. even though it's not quite right. I like to put that, I like to make that an E7 with augmented fifth. I like to throw that chord in because it's still got that minor feel to it, even though it's got that major third, or in this case, in A minor, a major seventh. But that's the thing about this music. By moving things around, you can make, by changing one note. Here, I'll show you. Here's a scale, a blues scale. Right? It's like guitar players do that all the time, right? That was one of the things I stole for myself when I went to the organ. So that riff, right? If I just play that, now the thing about this particular scale is that it's a trick scale, because you can play this one scale with all three chords. Watch. Here's my A minor. Here's my D minor. Here's my E minor. Back in my... So that's all I'm doing. So if I play... real down feel to it. So I'm just playing that scale. If I add one note to it, if I add the B to it, in other words, if I add the 2 to the minor scale, it gets a whole different feel. Jazz, but it's like it smooths it out. So these are tricks that you can do. It softens the music. It doesn't make it quite so raw. Here's a song. This is written by a couple of friends of mine, Barry Goldberg and Jerry Goffin. It was a big hit for Gladys Knight and the Pips back in the 70s, and a song called Imagination. I really got to use darkness all around me, blocking out the sun. Old friends call out to me, but I talk to no one. Emptiness has found me, and it just won't let me go. I'm gonna ride on, live and go up, I just don't know. I really got to use imagination. Think of reason. All right. Anyway, so this is again, it's actually a 16-bar blues because it's got a repeat. It's got 1, 4, 5 chords, except it's got a sharp 5. It's got that. I'm in the key of C. I'm in the key of E. I'm in the key of E. So my sharp 5 is going to be is going to be is going to be a C chord. Sharp 5. No, that's not right. Yeah, sharp 5. That's right. Sharp 5, that's a C chord, and then we're going to our B chord. So listen how the measure goes. That's a very common thing. It's a very common progression. The Thrill Is Gone. Just a whole bunch of songs use that in a minor key with a sharp 5. So if I'm playing an A minor, then the sharp 5 is going to be F. That's why I get confused sometimes with chords, with keys. Is my F7th, and then I'm going to my E. Right, so that's the same thing, ending on the A minor. Anyway, so minor blues stuff is really, really cool. There's another thing that you can do with minor blues, and I like to do this. I usually, when I teach my students stuff, when I'm teaching them minor blues, I teach them this, and because it's an easy left hand, and you can learn how to play in all the various keys. I'll show you here. It's actually called the Andalusian cadence. It's the most common phrase in music, and everybody uses it. It's G. I'm sorry. It's A, F, A. Let's start again. A. F. It's like I have 3 fingers up, right? All right, never mind. All right, here we go. A, G, F, E. And you can follow the chords down. And I like to, instead of playing the E minor, I like to play E7. I just like the way it sounds better. But it's that same chord. If you do a song like come on. Somewhere like must be somewhere out of here, like the joke. It's relief. Anyway, all along the Watchtower. There we go. I know I could remember it. All along the Watchtower actually does that, but it does even less. It goes A, G, F, A, G, A, G, F, G, and that's got a real nice rock feel to it. If you go down to the D. Okay, but that's fine. But when I'm playing blues, I don't like the way that G sounds. It sounds a little too harsh. I like to do it this way. It's my second chord, instead of being a G, I'm going to play it as either A minor 7th or a C. Watch. Here's my A minor. And then when my left hand goes to the G, my thumb is going to go to the G in the right hand, but I'm going to keep my A minor there. So it's like, now when I go to my F, I always like the F7th. I'm just partial to 7th chords. It's my F7th. So like, hit the road, Jack, and don't you come back no more, no more. There's a lot of songs. Well, since it's the most commonly used phrase in music, there's got to be a lot of songs with it. It's a lot of mariachi songs do that too. But we're not doing mariachi right now. Okay, so that's so when you want to learn how to play a scale, right? Use that. I'm using the blues scale. I'm not playing playing the F, although there is an F chord. The only time you can play that F is when you're in that F. When your hand hits that F. All right, so you want to kind of stay away from the F for now. Well, depends on. Never mind. Here we go. So we're going like this. Okay, let's say somebody calls a song in B flat minor. B flat minor is not an easy key. So we want to learn B flat minor. You take the line. Okay, it's 1 7. Well, it's I'm not sure what the. It's 7 6 5. It's 7 6 5 because it's a minor scale. Right, it's that minor scale. So it's that. So when you're going, so you're going 1 for the 7, to the 6, to the 5. So that's your left hand. And learn your scale. So you just play around with it. Do it in another, you do it in D minor. B flat. E flat, E minor, E flat minor. So you go to the B. E flat minor is actually cheating because E flat minor, you're just playing with black notes. And so you can get away with just playing with black notes. Matter of fact, you can do this kind of thing. F sharp. It's an E minor, E flat minor. You can sort of make like massage music. So like, I'm going to show you. It's something you could just fool around with, but try not to just noodle. Try just to not noodle. Noodling is something that we try to avoid. We want to make everything we play sound like music. So I think that's when you're noodling, it means you're just sort of playing random notes, just sort of to play them. I know. Guitar players do that, horn players do that, a lot of people do. Well, they have to warm up. You know, warming up is one thing, but after you've warmed up, then you have to, then it's professional not to play when you're not supposed to play. Anyway, so I've been here for about an hour now, and I've got a few more things that I want to talk about. Let's talk about intros and turnarounds and endings. Okay, now I tell my students that when they play a song, it's like telling a story. No, it is telling a story. It's not like telling. It is telling a story. And a good story has a really strong beginning, a great center, body of it, and then a good strong ending. So endings and beginnings are very important. Sometimes you can mess up a lot, but if you get a good ending, everybody thinks it's great. The music goes by like that, you know. It's once you play a note, it's gone. So various kinds of introductions. Introduction to like a song like Staggerly. So introduction has really nothing to do with the song. I can't sing it in this game. So those kinds of intros are interesting. Another kind of an intro would be just like a Fats Domino kind of an intro. So that what I just did there was my left hand is going, that's my downbeat, then I'm going 7, 6, flat 6, 5. So it's C, B flat, A flat, G. My right hand I'm doing, this is parallel, 3 and 5, 3 flat and 5 flat, 2 and 4, 3 and 5, 1 and 3. So various. So I like to do it this way. I could play the whole chord. See how nice that sounds? So, or you could even go like this. That's another left hand. But, so, alright, so that's nice. And you can do this. You can do. As long as you get that walk into the left, into the turnaround, into the 5 chord, that's really what you're looking for. So those are so introductions are pretty much partial to each particular song. When I did Hello Josephine, I just started it like this. When I started Hot Chocolate, I have a real introduction. So you have to think about introductions. Now turnarounds are a different thing. Turnarounds are, well, it turns the music around. What we're just doing. So you can fool around with it. You can work around with, and of course endings, typical blues ending. Right, that's just. Then I went to that's my G7 augmented fifth. That's the chord we were talking about before, and it's going to resolve into a C9th, which is the ending. You can, or you can do this. This is if you're playing like boogie woogie. It's like big ending. You can also do like. Professor Longhair ends a lot of stuff like this just by, let's see. Oh, that's not what I wanted to do. He does this. Starting on the C. That is so cool. So. Okay, I'm in F. Sometimes you just want to end it like so, but you want to make your ending strong. That's the whole point of what I just tried to say. All right, I just winding down a little bit. I want to touch one more New Orleans rhythm. It's a second line rhythm. It's called the second line rhythm. It's actually clave rhythm, and it goes like this. So the half clave is, then you're going. So you can play a chord. Ending. Right? Another way to end it. End it in the middle. So it's that's kind of a second line clave rhythm that's used. It's a kind of like a Bo Diddley rhythm. It's the same kind of feel. I think I'm gonna finish up. I'm going to thank you very much. Long Island Blues Society, thank you very much. I hope I didn't ramble too much. I hope it was interesting, and I hope I didn't make too many mistakes. But thank you so much, and I guess that's it. I'll play something on the way out, and goodbye. Thank you.